For centuries, the Shroud of Turin has been one of history's greatest mysteries. Imagine if I told you that new, hidden evidence within this sacred relic reveals astonishing details about the true appearance of Jesus. Recent studies have uncovered clear signs of braids in his hair, which could fundamentally change how we envision him. Not only that, but the image on the shroud also displays marks of the dental arcade, an impressive detail that confirms the relic's authenticity in an unprecedented way. Get ready for a striking and meticulous analysis that could transform everything we know about the face of Christ. Stay till the end, because these discoveries will amaze you. Professor Pietro Ferranato, an orthodontics instructor, leads a team of specialists and has conducted an autopsy on the Holy Shroud. The results of his work were published in an intriguing book titled Autopsy of the Man of the Shroud. Forensic medicine had not yet exhausted its examination of the shroud, so they decided to apply legal odontology methods typically used on bodies or corpses to aid police and judges based on medical legal reports. The idea to conduct a deep anatomical study of the shroud dates back about 3 years. They used photographs taken by Seconda Pia in 1898 and the findings of previous scholars. The crime scene no longer exists, so they investigated the crime through the marks left on the shroud. The body's anatomy was reconstructed using morphological data recorded on the linen, resulting in a total and complete facial reconstruction. Professor Ferranato described his fascinating work, treating the shroud's image like the forensic mask usually assembled to depict injuries on a living or deceased body. Alongside Alessandra Maggiorana, they enhanced the imprints to make them more readable for detailed medical examination using the most innovative image management software available. They changed the orientation, adjusted the light and dark contrasts, and applied methods used to clarify CT scans, MRI, and other 3D examinations to obtain a complete legal dental diagnosis. In a field where sophistication and precision reach the minutest details, what might seem like science fiction to Ferranato is a scientific method, not a movie plot. This method highlights details that led his team to very precise measurements. When asked by a journalist if studying an image on centuries-old canvas could analyze the face as if it were a flesh and blood corpse, Professor Ferranato replied that it was like facing a patient about to undergo orthodontic or surgical corrective treatment, such as bridges, dental implants, or maxillofacial operations. The study of the face using methods like cephalometry for the first time revealed structural alterations present in the man of the shroud, including symmetry in the frontal sinuses, deviation of the nasal septum, and jaw asymmetry with displacement attributable to traumas shortly before death. The question of what science says about the man of the shroud, an object of ancient and sometimes vehement debate, Professor Ferranato responds that science indicates it's an impression left by the corpse of a man truly subjected to tortures, flagellations, beatings, a crown of thorns, and ultimately crucifixion, aligning perfectly with gospel narratives, even in the sequence of inflicted tortures and the nature of the spear thrust post-mortem, as per the Gospel of John, chapter 19, verses 3-34. Professor Ferranato also reported that scientific studies conducted in March 2015, coordinated by Professor Giulio Fanti and processed by the University of Padua, using 3 chemical and mechanical dating methods, led to a new dating of the linen between 200 BC and 217 AD. A period compatible with the life of Jesus in Palestine. However, the method of image formation on the shroud remains an unsolvable mystery. When queried if it was Jesus, he answered that with the Spirit, a man of faith cannot ask science questions it cannot answer. Alessandra Maggiorana, a professor at the University of Brescia, explained to the specialized site Orthodontics 33 that this was the first analysis of the Holy Shroud from a morphological and traumatic perspective using state-of-the-art software. Their research yielded new, unique, and unexpected parameters about the type of trauma. The dental examinations focused on the soft tissues and skeletal structure of the face. The young man imprinted on the shroud had a complete set of teeth, and cephalometric measurements revealed a jaw severely deviated to the left, likely due to the blows before crucifixion. For Professor Maggiorana, the work did not consider the religious narrative but referenced a passage from the Gospel of John describing the hours before crucifixion, mentioning blows to Jesus' face with a rod. In reality, the Gospel speaks of a slap, but the original Aramaic refers to a blow with a blunt object, consistent with the heavy trauma confirmed by their image analysis. They also noted other consequences of the blows, such as a fracture of the nasal cartilage. The processed image shows no signs of nasal bleeding, suggesting the fracture occurred at least a couple of hours before death. The corpse on the shroud is entirely naked. The blood images have been proven to strictly conform to reality. The wounds from flagellation are realistic, abundant, and consistent with archaeological data. The hemorrhages from the crown of thorns and the formed clots are incredibly authentic. The remnants of the cross are perfectly in line with the observations of many medical scholars. The hand is pierced at the level of the wrist, the only area where the nail could support the body's weight. The thumb is in opposition in the palm, and the heart wound is on the right side. Thus, anatomy testifies in favor of authenticity in full agreement with gospel texts. Another significant point is that, unlike what one would expect in a conventional image, the hair on the shroud appears to be falling downwards rather than spreading laterally. This suggests the hair was tied and maintained its structure even when the body was laid on the linen. The hypothesis that Jesus wore his hair in braids gains strength from the detailed analysis of the Shroud of Turin, the Jewish traditions of the time, and the forensic evidence from the image. Although there is no definitive conclusion, studies indicate that the hair arrangement present on the shroud is compatible with braids or some form of binding. If this discovery is confirmed, it could not only add a historical element to the figure of Jesus but also modify how his image has been represented throughout history. The image on the shroud shows a man of approximately 6 feet with evident signs of torture and crucifixion. One of the most notable aspects is the hair's arrangement, which falls symmetrically to the sides of the face and appears organized into well-defined strands, contrary to what one would expect from loose, disheveled hair after a brutal execution. It suggests the strands were structured, possibly braided. Archaeologist and specialist in biblical iconography, Ian Wilson, argues that the hair's appearance in the shroud's image is consistent with the typical hairstyle of first-century Jews, especially Nazarites and rabbis, who often wore braids as a symbol of religious consecration. This hairstyle can be seen on ancient coins and Jewish representations from the Second Temple period. The Torah mentions the significance of hair for certain Jewish groups. The Nazarites, for example, were individuals who took religious vows and did not cut their hair. Numbers chapter 6 verse 5. Although Jesus is not explicitly described as a Nazarite, the shroud might indicate a similar practice or at least conformity with Jewish customs of the time. Additionally, rabbinic texts suggest that men frequently braided their hair. The strands of hair on the man represented were tied. The symmetry and organized form of the strands are not consistent with loose, tousled hair one would expect after crucifixion. Moreover, some studies indicate the presence of vertical lines that may suggest interwoven threads. We possess the shroud of Jesus Christ, bearing the image of his body and the traces of his blood. If you enjoyed this video and want to continue exploring the mysteries that connect history and faith, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Take advantage because there's another interesting video waiting for you on the screen. Until next time, remember that knowledge illuminates our faith and helps us understand the true mysteries of humanity.